Her name was Eleanor, and this is how she took back her life. Their world was a carefully curated masterpiece, displayed within the gilded walls of a sprawling, vintage-style home. Sun-drenched afternoons were filled with shared laughter that echoed through high-ceilinged rooms, their reflections caught in antique mirrors. Photographs lined the grand staircase, capturing a decade of seemingly perfect moments. Richard, his arm wrapped possessively around her waist on a Venetian gondola. Eleanor, her face radiant with joy as they danced at a charity gala. It was a life of shared secrets, whispered promises, and the comfortable, quiet intimacy of two people who had built an empire together. The scent of old books and fresh-cut roses was the fragrance of their love, a constant, reassuring presence. Theirs was a perfect marriage, a perfect partnership, a perfect lie. The first crack in their flawless facade appeared as a whisper of suspicion. While preparing Richard's tweed overcoat for the dry cleaners, Eleanor's fingers brushed against a crinkled piece of paper tucked deep within an inner pocket. It wasn't a receipt or a business card, but a small, folded drawing. She smoothed it out to reveal a child's clumsy but earnest depiction of a stick-figure family under a bright yellow sun. A man, a woman, and a small girl holding a red balloon. The style was unfamiliar, the sentiment unnerving. It was a detail that didn't belong in the meticulously constructed narrative of their life, a foreign object in her pristine world, and it planted a cold seed of doubt in her heart. The seed blossomed into a chilling certainty. Driven by a quiet, cold dread, Eleanor began to follow him. Her pursuit was not born of frantic jealousy, but of a methodical need for truth. It led her away from their opulent city neighborhood and into the winding, tree-lined streets of a quiet suburb. There, nestled among identical houses with manicured lawns, was a quaint, unassuming home. She watched from a distance as Richard's car pulled into the driveway. The front door opened, and a woman with a welcoming smile emerged, followed by a little girl with a bright red bow in her hair. He knelt, and the child ran into his open arms, her joyful squeal piercing the suburban silence. He was not just Richard, her husband, he was Daddy. The secret family, the source of the drawing, was no longer a suspicion but a devastating reality. Any thought of a tearful, dramatic confrontation evaporated in the face of this profound betrayal. Heartbreak was quickly replaced by a glacial resolve. Instead of shattering their world with screams and accusations, Eleanor began a quiet, calculated dismantling of it. She moved with the precision of a surgeon, her emotions locked away. Working silently with their lawyers and financial advisors, she methodically liquidated their joint assets. The art collection, the vintage cars, the stock portfolios, all were converted into fluid capital. She meticulously created an ironclad trust, ensuring that both his children, the one he acknowledged and the one he hid, would be provided for. The remaining substantial portion was funneled into new accounts, secured solely in her name. The final act was staged, not in their bedroom, but in Richard's mahogany-paneled study, the very heart of his domain. He returned home one evening to find her waiting, not with tears staining her cheeks, but with a leather-bound folio resting on his desk. Inside were not love letters, but legal documents detailing the dissolution of their assets and the finality of their divorce. His name was on none of them. As he stared in disbelief, his empire crumbling to dust on paper, she stood up. She didn't offer an explanation or a final, scathing remark. Her silence was her victory. The final shot was of Eleanor walking away from the house, her silhouette framed by the setting sun, not as a victim, but as a woman reborn, utterly and completely free.